So today we're going to do a deep dive into HPLC particles, and in this case we're going to look at the difference between superficially porous and totally porous material. Historically, since the beginning of time, since the beginning of HPLC, we've used totally porous material. Silica itself, it's like a sponge, right? You look at the surface, and the surface on the outside is a small fraction, small percentage of what's inside that particle. I think of LC particles like Nerf balls. It's a little sphere, lots and lots of nooks and crannies, so most of the surface, 95% of the surface area is inside the particle. Why is that important? Surface area is where we do the separation, it's where we hold on to the analytes, so we like to have lots of surface area. But now let's remember what we learned in HPLC theory. Think about HPLC theory, think about the Van Deemter talk. What did Van Deemter teach us? The smaller the particle, the better. No question, hands down, the smaller the particle, the better the efficiency, the better the separation, the better everything. But it causes a huge increase in the required pressure. So in the real world, when I was a kid, we had 10 micron particles, and then by the 1980s, mid-80s, we were in the 5 micron, then we got into the 3 micron material, and then we went to the 1.8 micron material. So the smaller the particle, the higher the efficiency, but when we go from, let's say, 3.5 to 1.8, we will quadruple the pressure requirement, quadruple. So if you're running 2,000 PSI, you now need to run 8,000 PSI. Whoops, that's a problem. All of our HPLCs historically could not go to high enough pressures. So we've been limited by the pressure capability of the instrument. So let's say you have a bunch of what I would call standard HPLCs. I have, I probably have 5 regular LCs and 5 UPLCs in the lab. So I would define it as, let's say up to 6,000 PSI would be a standard LC. You got a standard LC, and you see the guys across the hall with their UPLCs, and they're buying these 1.8 micron particles. You can't do that because you don't have the pressure capabilities. So is there another way to get to those ultra high efficiencies without going to really, really small particles? And the answer is yes. And this is what we call superficially porous particles. So let me explain this. So think back to Van Deemter. Van Deemter said if we have a 5 micron versus a 3 micron versus a 1.8 micron, the beauty is that the smaller the diffusion path, the less difference there is in molecules. So I have a billion molecules, a billion benzene molecules. I want them all to do the same thing. But when they go into a 5 micron particle, these guys, they can go in 1 micron and come back out, or 2 and come back out, or 3, or 4, or 5. So the molecules have a lot of choices. The more choices they have, the more different things they do, the broader the peak gets. I don't want them to have, I can't dictate what to do. They don't listen to me. I say, don't go too far in. They don't listen to me, but I can limit their choices. So go to a 3 micron, wow, there's a lot fewer choices. So molecules can go in 1 micron or 2 micron or 3 micron. They can't go in 4 because they've already over the side. So immediately my peak gets skinnier. Ooh, 1.8 micron, you get the idea. Even fewer choices, the peak gets even skinnier. So chromatography, no brainer. Van Deemter said, 1956, make the particle smaller. But now we run into the physical problem, and that is, if this guy is running 2,000 psi, this guy is going to be 8,000 psi. So now we have the physical limitation of the pump. So let's enter the world. These are all totally porous, TPS, totally porous silica. Now let's talk about superficially porous silica. SPS is the official word, but it comes under trade names. Porous shells, this porous outer layer. So the idea is we're going to start with a solid material. So I don't know how to draw solid. This is solid. It's like a glass marble. There's no surface on the inside. It's hard. In the old days, we called this pellicular material, which means the inside is non-porous. There's no chemistry going on down there. But we're going to put on a bunch of tiny little particles, and these tiny particles are totally porous. So we'll do a little bit of math here, and this inside part, and don't quote me on this, there's different chemistries out there, there's different particle sizes out there, but in general, this is how it works. That the non-porous part is about 1.8 micron. And these tiny little things So 1.8 would be from there to there. And these tiny little things are, let's say, 1 micron. Or half a micron, 0.5 micron across. So that means it's 1.8 plus a half. So the particle itself is 2.8. The solid support in the inside is 1.8. So where do we get an advantage of this? From the pump's perspective, the pump just sees particle size. The pump says, oh, cool, you got a 2.8 micron particle. That's not nearly as high pressure as that 1.8. You could run this on a regular HPLC instrument. And then from an efficiency perspective, the molecule sees this half micron diffusion path. So half micron is like a 1 micron diffusion path. So the molecule sees a 1 micron particle. The pump sees a roughly 3 micron particle. So we get the pressure of a 3 with the efficiency of a 1. Now that's the theory. So incredible efficiency and really reasonable pressures. In practice, it really does work pretty much that way. The pressures are exactly in between. In fact, we did a paper on this. We did a poster on this and presented it, I believe, at Pittsburgh Conference, where we showed the pressure of, I don't know, we'll call that the 1.8 micron. That would be the 3.5 micron, and that would be the 2.8. So it's right in between them. It's well within the pressure range of a regular instrument, and it gives you the higher efficiency of the small particles. So it is sort of the perfect world in HPLC. Now, you have to look to see if your application works on these. There are some applications that have not been successful on them. And I think the jury is still out as to exactly why that's the case. We know that selectivity, we get the exact same selectivities. The column companies are good at that. I think early on, we either had some particle stability issues or that, but this is something certainly worth looking at. Again, what it gives you is UPLC type efficiencies with HPLC type pressures. So welcome to the world of details. See, it's worth it learning a little bit of HPLC theory because now we understand why those wacky particles are out there. So send more questions and we'll give you more answers.